Welcome to Sam's Business Growth Show, where I'll be interviewing business leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We'll be learning their story, how digital marketing has helped them along the way, and exclusive tips and insights to help you skyrocket your own business. Hello and welcome to Sam's Business Growth Show. I'm very pleased and delighted to welcome on board Nilesh Pandit, serial sporting entrepreneur. He currently runs two different businesses, both turning over £1 million+ revenue per year. He's been featured on the UK popular hit show Dragon's Den. He bought his first house outright aged 26, as the banks wouldn't want to lend him money. So we'll discuss that shortly. Nilesh, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. How are you keeping?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Excellent to
Very
have you on
good.
the show. Excellent to be
Thank
here.
you for the intro. It was very nice, very flattering.
No problems at all, my friend. So yeah, let's jump right in. First of all, Nilesh, myself and the audience want to know kind of your background, kind of where you grew up, how you got into business, how it all came about. So if you could tell us more.
Basically, when I was kind of around 21 years old, I had an internship with quite a big multinational company. So I had a really bad experience with them. I felt like the way they managed me, the way they treated me was really poor. In my opinion, I would never want to be spoken down to or be treated disrespectfully, no matter how big or small a company is. And I think from there, I kind of discovered, you know what, maybe I'm not cut out for the 9 to 6 working world. Maybe I should try and do something, you know, myself. And obviously, I didn't have an idea as to what it would be, what it could be. But it was coincidentally in that year that that very company, I've always been big into fitness and five-a-side and football, and I had I used to play football a lot when I was growing up, and you know, it came to a point where five-a-side and casual sports were really taking a big shape. I noticed this company, you know, different departments, marketing, accounting, operations. We're talking about a huge multinational company, probably about 1,000+ employees. They were all playing football individually on different days. So I said, okay, you know, wouldn't it be a great idea as team building and corporate togetherness? Because I was, like I said, really struggling in my job and didn't really meet a lot of people and was quite depressed. Wouldn't it be a good idea to make all of these teams or departments play one another in a kind of football league or sports setting? So I made a few really basic A4 standard flyers with just basic writing and just sent it all to the different departments, and they all came back and said, yeah, we want to join this five-a-side company league, internal company league. And obviously I created these really quirky and funny match reports within the five-side leagues, like, you know, Sam Dunning turned a 360, hit the crossbar and missed. And it was really funny and well received. It went on to, you know, their main platform. It went online. And it went from, you know, 8 teams to 16 teams. In my lunch breaks, I used to just invite local companies around the Hammersmith, West London area to join this company league and make it a corporate league. They came in. Five-a-side was just growing at the time. And it kind of grew there. And I was doing everything at cost price, you know, because I was working for this company. And, you know, the product I was pushing out was unique. The cost was low. So obviously my differentiating factor was the price and obviously my service offering. And I was very hands-on with everyone. Everyone knew who I was. You know, it grew very quickly, like I said, from 8 to 16 teams. People enjoyed the offering. And it was local as well. Location-wise, it was very good. Very good pitches in London, at Rocks Lane, Motorsports, and in Chiswick, which is where I all began. And it was really good, mate. So that's how it all essentially began. That's how the idea kind of began. And, you know, obviously after that was university, and I set up the biggest five-a-side university league in Birmingham. Where I went to Aston Uni, and you know, I thought at that point, I said, you know what, I have a job ready for me if I want to leave. But I said, you know what, I've got to give this a go and see what happens. You know, I can't work for anybody else. I've had a bad experience. I don't personally feel that I'm cut out for it. You know, other people can work 9 to 6 and are quite good, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and do this myself and risk it. And everyone was literally saying it, you know, it's very difficult. You're in sports and fitness, it's a crowded market, it's impossible. But I said, you know what, let me give it a go and see what happens.
Okay, so basically you were working for a corporate company, kind of the standard like 9 to 5, 9 to 6 job. Yeah. You're getting quite worn down. And I think you've got kind of because you played football at quite a good level yourself, didn't you, Nilesh? So that's where you got some of the inspiration. Is that right?
Yeah, that was like when I was a lot younger. Like if I compare myself to the talent out there now, it's probably nothing. But back then I had a very very good deal with QPR, but that was 16, 17. I was very very good. Yeah, in terms of, obviously nowhere near as good now. I'm actually quite bad now. But anyway, like back then it was a really good time to play football. There's a lot of people coming through the ranks, and football, like I said, 11-a-side, 5-a-side, was actually just on the brink of commercialism to the point where big deals and big contracts were made. But obviously, I didn't make it. I had actually a really bad break, and yeah, in my ankle, and I didn't make it. I don't think I would have anyway, even if, to be honest, even if my ankle was fine, because
Oh man.
the talent out there now, it's incredible.
So you
But
broke
then
your
I went
ankle.
into
Was that
fitness.
playing? Sorry, was that when you were in
Yeah,
academy?
that was playing. But then obviously I went into fitness. I transformed like into fitness, and I said, you know what, I got my level 2 qualification for the gym. I couldn't really train like lower body at all. Really, it was like it was quite difficult. So it was 3-4 years out. Then obviously I went back, started playing football casually, but it's never the same. I could never run at the same pace. I was always worried about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And obviously I try and not tell people that now. Like I say, like, listen, if something's happened, you've got to try and overcome it. But I think the stigma for it, I said, I would never be the same. But that being said, like I said, I saw the talent that was coming up, and in my own admittance, I knew even if everything happens for a reason, they were a lot more talented than I was. But this was like my calling. Then I said, you know what, I can't play in the big leagues. Let's try and set up something football
Yeah.
related or sports related and see what happens, kind of thing.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, like going back to kind of you work in this corporate job. What was that doing exactly? Was that?
So I was actually a finance intern, would you believe?
Oh,
So I was
okay.
a lot of
I can't believe
spreadsheets
it. No,
and
we're friends, by the way. For anyone listening in the audience, me and Nilesh do a little bit of work together. We're both kind of gym enthusiasts and football enthusiasts. So yeah, carry on, my friend.
yeah, so I was actually working in finance and doing a lot of spreadsheets and reporting, how stuff was being sold in the stores, how well received products were. And I was just an intern, so I was very low level. I was literally just doing all of the paper pushing effectively for like my manager, the senior execs and stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't get on with any single person that I kind of worked with, my manager, my senior manager, and they kind of with time gave me less and less work. So that actually was bad because it actually felt like it was jail. So imagine working 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in front of a computer. You can't touch your phone. You can't make any social call. There's no one talking to you, no one interacting with you, and you've got nothing to do. So I literally just had to pass my time. So I would take these notes on a piece of paper because I couldn't do it on my computer because they would log what you're doing, try and figure out a way to grow this 5-a-side league and try and figure out everything on paper, my costings, my finances. I'd hide this piece of paper. Obviously, when they gave me work, I'd do it. But it was
Quite a
it was
grind.
a weird time to be me. It was like my most depressing year and my most rewarding year at the same time.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so you slowly progressed this kind of sporting idea, this sporting concept, whilst you were kind of doing this 9 to 6 job that you didn't really enjoy at all.
Yeah,
Kind of writing these notes undercover, and then
yeah,
you started
undercover.
the undercover agent. So how did you progress it from that stage into something bigger?
So again, just going back to fitness again, straight after Disney. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit that part out probably. But anyway, yeah, straight after the MNC was university. So Aston University was that's my final year because you do an internship within it. And so I used to work in the gym in year 1 and 2,
Nice.
and I had a very good relationship with the head of sports and leisure. So he gave me the platform. Obviously, I had to pay for a freshers fair desk, which was I think about 80-90 pounds. I went up and down the tower blocks. This is about 20 floors in a tower block. They were Stafford, Lakeside at the time. Lawrence. I'd go up and down, went to all the university buildings. We're setting up a 5-side university league, and obviously you have to sign up a freshers fair. It's about £5 sign on, and then £25 for the season, which is obviously very very competitive. And Freshers Fair, I think we had about 1,000 signups. And then when we introduced the free welcome session, so I always believe that you should offer something free to get people trying out your product and service and see how they like it and see how you
Sure.
do it as well. There was a queue literally from the building where I took the sign up desk all the way around to the main building of Aston Uni. So these people were queuing up for this 5-a-side service. And
Wow.
that was just one person on a desk trying to sign up. I think it was over 1,000 people and take their money and say, right, sign up. I've got a team. I don't have a team. I'm an individual. And then once they signed up, they'd go on the pitch and play. And now I didn't think that 1,000 people are going to turn up to this. So I only had it's only one five-a-side pitch at Aston at the time. I've got to try and navigate 1,000 people to play five-a-side football. I somehow managed it because people were just playing 5-6 minutes at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I was there literally from, I think, 10 a.m. all the way through till about 7 p.m. So I said, you know what, this is something that can work. And I looked at my competition at the time, who were Power League. In London, it was Top Corner, who then got bought out. And I said, these prices are ridiculous, they're astronomical. So I said, you know, I can come into the market here at a lower price and work out a deal with companies and stuff.
So you saw your gap in the market.
Yeah.
You set up this event that amazingly got 1,000+ people interested.
Yeah.
Essentially coming out from almost nowhere.
Exactly.
And for any overseas or US listeners, 5-a-side, 6-a-side, 7-a-side, what we're talking about is soccer or football. So this is a football tournament or football match where you play against 5 of your friends or 5 people you don't know, usually on some kind of AstroTurf or similar based surface. And Nilesh, you carry on.
Yeah, so basically that was the kind of proof of the concept. So you know, for me, and for I think any business or any potential entrepreneurs out there at the moment, it's very you know, you've got to prove your idea. So, you know, you got your idea, you've got your concept, but you've got to prove it, and you've got to prove the fact that can you do it, can you market it, and will people respond to it? Now, there's two things that, yes, it was a free event, but at the same time, people were willing to hand over their money, not even knowing me. Half these people didn't even know me. So a lot of them did know me through my connections at the gym, but they were willing to do it. They would sign up and pay for it. And we're not talking about the age of Facebook and Instagram. We're talking about the phase of leafleting, emailing, phone, text message, actual conversations with people. We're not talking about an Instagram message and stuff. So yes, people signed up for it, proved it. I actually then ran the league exactly the same way as I did with the MNC, with funny, quirky match reports. I think there were in total 16 divisions across the days, Monday to Sunday. A lot of them played Monday to Thursday, actually. And effectively across the 16 divisions, I then managed it. And I had to balance my university scheduling around it. I managed to get a 2-1 in the end. And then obviously I then went back to London, where I then said, you know what, I've got to now start this business. So it then went from a concept to a business. And that's where it really started to get hard. That's when it really started to get difficult.
So how old were you when this was coming about, and what kind of year was this?
So this was, well, if we imagine a decade that I've been in business now, so it's 23 was when I started it. So 23 is when the business was born. So 21 was the concept, 21, 22 was the concept, and 23 was when I actually registered the business as a trading company.
Age 23.
So as a limited company trading, yeah.
And this was back in 2010, or?
So this would have been, actually it was 2009 actually, so I was 22, yeah. So it's 2009, yeah. So absolutely, yeah, it was 2009. So it's been a journey, definitely.
Okay, so you're at this university. Had you already quit your corporate job by that stage?
So that was an internship. It was part of my degree, so I had to do it. So there was no way that I could get out of it. So I did my year, I did my time, came back to university, finished my degree, had set up the corporate league, obviously in London. Then I'd set up the student league in Birmingham. I'd actually go back and forth between London and Birmingham while studying as well, to make sure they were both running well. Obviously, at that point, my home was Birmingham because I was studying, but I'd still go down 1 or 2 days a week, and I'd get these really cheap £5 tickets from Chiltern Railways and somehow expense it to the fact that, okay, well, actually every penny I'm spending is for the business. So I kind of structured myself to imagine that this was going to be a full-time thing and try and take it like that.
Brilliant. Okay. So you started, so you had bases between London and Birmingham. You started running all these different nights of football or daytime football sessions. And it kind of got, I guess you were starting to make some good money, and kind of you thought that you need to do this full time, or what happened next?
Yeah. So obviously like I said, the proof was in the pudding. The money was coming in, and it was good money. It was, if I did it properly, it would be the equivalent of what would have been a full-time salary working for an MNC. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's give it a go, kind of thing. Let's come out of university. Let's just start from scratch and let's see what happens. Obviously, being young and naive and not really taking much advice at the time, so I was quite hard-headed. You forget about the fact that you need important things within your business. You need to set up the company. You need to set up a trading name. You need to set up a website. Website's probably the most important thing that you need, actually. You need to market your website, you need to market yourself. You've got leaflets and stuff like that. So this first kind of 2-3 months phase, I was working on that, and actually it was the last day of university, and it was where myself and one of the guys I went to university with created this basic website in 24 hours, and it was so bad. Like, I can't explain to you how bad it was. It was so bad. It was like really ugly green with like a really like cheesy pitch line on it. It was so bad, but we needed to get onto Google and start working our way up. And that's when I quickly realized that, you know what, online is the way forward. I did not know that Facebook and Instagram would have such a strong power in the future, but I knew Google was a powerhouse. So I said, you know what, I need to get this website correct. I let it sit. It didn't cost me anything because someone did it as part of their degree for me. We
Okay.
hammered it out, and then obviously I vowed to myself that in my first year, whatever money I make would go back into the website. It needed to be rebranded and redone. And then obviously marketing with Google at the time, PPC was very important. You know, I would actually go door to door, or company to company and flyering. I'd hand out flyers to reception and say, listen, could you pass this on?
Yeah. So before you kind of got your friend to set up this website, Nilesh,
Mhm.
is that mostly what you were doing, kind of flyer dropping and things like that? How were you generating the
Literally,
business, or was it mouth to
that is
mouth?
exactly how my day was structured. I would literally spend 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. going office to office, door to door. I would flyer every single person in the street. I would fly every single person in the street and literally say, I've got this corporate league that's running. Would you like to sign up? And obviously I would base myself in Hammersmith. The reason why I did that is because I lived in Shepherd's Bush. It was walking distance. I'd be able to cover a lot of ground and cover a lot of people in a very short time span. So I focused in my area, which was West London, because I knew I could get there quickly. I would go there, I would fly between 8 a.m. and 8:45 because that's when people are going into their offices. I would stand outside and on a public piece of property, not their company building. Do the same at lunchtime between 12:45 and 2:15, and I would do the same again at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. So I'd catch them all at the right time. So again, that's quite important. You need to understand who your audience is and try and capture them. I'd check my emails constantly. I think there were days and days where emails didn't come in, but I didn't have that kind of corporate connect where I could just go to a company and say, excuse me, who is your HR person? Please, could you send this out? I would still spend a lot of time cold calling, as well, but I would still be out there in the open trying to give it to people that I think, you know what, they could pass this information on for me.
Awesome. And I think that's a really good tip, Nilesh, for all businesses listening, kind of timing, knowing your
Timing,
audience. Just like
exactly.
you said there, and you did it first thing in the morning, you did it kind of the 2 o'clock when you know they're coming back into the office.
Yeah,
And you've got to start somewhere, exactly. So okay, well that's really valuable info for our listeners. And then you kind of realize you had to have some kind of online web presence. So you knocked up
correct.
a
Yeah,
simple website, and
yeah.
you understood that you had to kind of pump some of your earnings, some of your profits back into the marketing, back into
Hmm.
digital. So you started doing, was it pay per click or Facebook
Yeah,
ads, or what happened
so
next?
PPC was next. So basically, whenever a customer would sign up, they'd have to pay a deposit. So I'd use that deposit and put it into my marketing budget. So, and it was quite hurtful actually because I would spend, I think I had 5 deposits, £500. I put it into Google for the sake of argument. And I didn't understand anything about Google. I didn't know how to set up a PPC campaign. I didn't know what this was all about. And I would try and talk to experts, excuse me, yeah, experts, right? And unfortunately, there are a lot of like con artists out there, really bad marketing companies that I've actually experienced in 11 years, and they just wouldn't do the job properly. They say they're going to do a lot, and they actually didn't deliver. So I actually spent, I would say, I wasted about £1,500 on poor marketing from Google, and I actually was about to lose faith. I said, you know what, the money I'm spending is not working, it's not happening. So then I just said, you know what, I've got to learn it myself. So I spent, I think about, I would say 2 weeks on YouTube at the time, which again wasn't that big, but YouTube and free marketing platforms, just learning how to set up a Google campaign. And obviously it worked. I said, okay, you know what? It's actually working. I said, I've managed to actually set up a campaign myself and it's actually working. It's bringing in leads. Um, and I would just fob off the other companies. I said, you know what? I will give you marketing for this, that, and the other. And I would just do it myself. So again, it was now becoming like, you know what? I'm now the marketing manager. I'm now the operations manager. I'm now trying to do my own accounts. It's getting to the point where I'm taking on too much. And at the time when you're young, when you're 22, 23, 24, you think, yeah, you know what? You can do it all yourself. But the business was growing, and I wasn't acknowledging the business was growing past my capabilities. And it's very important. And again, this is to your listeners again, where, you know, there has to be a time where you say to yourself, you know what, my skill set is not this. My skills are not in marketing. My skills are not in this. You have to be honest with yourself and say, it's time now to bring somebody else in. And that, I think, was my key mistake, is that I would have grown faster and quicker had I let the reins go a bit and trusted somebody else to say, okay, come in as a full-timer, sacrifice a bit of the money, sacrifice a bit of your revenue for someone solid in salary. I didn't do that until I was about 26. I should have done it when I was 24, where I started to see the business making money. But to trust a person to hand your business down to you is very difficult, especially when you're smaller. But if I would say there were a lot of mistakes I made in the early goings, but you can't do everything yourself. And I think when you start to do everything yourself, you make mistakes. You make key mistakes, and I think you start to get under the weather. Your personal life is sacrificed. You need to just be honest with yourself and say, you know what, fair enough, you're young, you've got energy, but you need to just say, right, it's time now to bring somebody else in.
And would you say that's an important thing for all kind of people in business to note, Nilesh? Kind of there comes a stage where we all have to admit that we can't do everything, we can't be experts in everything ourselves, and we have to get additional professionals in to do jobs to
Yeah.
free up our time. And
I mean, absolutely. Because if you look at generally the way businesses are structured, you've got marketing, operations, accounts, legal, HR, websites, and IT. You know, these are all like key pillars of what a business now is. You know, you've got key pillars to make your business grow. There is no way that you can do all of them, right? You can position yourself in one. So you can be like, I tend to be good at operations, talking to people, or that was my skill set back then. Now it's a little bit different. My skill set is elsewhere. My skill set is more like events based and, you know, growing the event side. But you have to understand that you as a person with time change. And no matter what university has taught you or the real world has taught you, there is no way you can know everything that professionals know. You have to either take advice and see where you go, or you have to pick the right departments to grow with time. I don't think you can do it yourself. And I think that's a key thing to say to yourself, like all new entrepreneurs or all kind of people within business, 0 to 5, 0 to 10 years, need to potentially let go of the reins and maybe say, right, listen, let's bring someone in, whether it's family or not, or just to say someone to help you, whether it's someone on a part-time basis or full-time basis. You do kind of need that buffer to keep you sane, basically.
okay, cool. So yeah, around 26 or so, you brought on some staff. I know we mentioned at the start of the show, you bought your first house mortgage free when you were age 26.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were some issues
Yeah.
with the bank. Can you tell us more what happened there?
So this is one of the key things that again was featured on kind of Dragon's Den, is that you need to pay your taxes, people. Yeah, so always pay your taxes. Yeah, okay, because they're gonna come and they'll find you. Yeah, and so basically the way I did it is I basically would get a lot of revenue in and money in, of course, and my accounting was really bad because at the time I was hiring family to do my accounts.
Sure.
And also I didn't realize really what taxation, VAT, and all what the implications were on, you know, five-side pitch or pitch hire, or how I was claiming it back, how I should be reporting it. I would very much go off advice that was very dated. So the key thing is, and they kind of went in hand. Luckily, I kind of had got my house before this tax issue, so I managed to save up a lot of money through obviously salaries, earnings, dividends. Again, quite important, dividends, to make sure you do your dividends taxes properly, to kind of, you know, buy a house outright, which was nothing fancy. It was kind of like a 2-bed house in Acton, but it got me on the property ladder. The reason why I had to do that and was because banks were just not lending. So I was a self-employed business. I actually declared myself a low salary. I actually put myself on the first year or two of business. I put myself on I think a £4,800 salary, which is very low.
Yeah.
I then increased it, but then dropped it in exchange for dividends, basically.
Okay.
So what was the issue behind that is that, well, you know, banks generally lend to stable company, you know, people within stable jobs. Your business has to show a stable amount of income. And obviously, you know, mine was fluctuating back and forth. I was making investments, which I was making, you know, purchases and to try and grow the business. And unfortunately, the bank, they don't really understand what you're doing with the business. They just go very much in black and white, profit and loss, salary, earnings, and things like that. And no matter how, I think I must have tried about 20 banks, mortgage advisors, they were not lending me anything. And this was now when I was actually 24, when I realized they're not lending it to me. So I'd been in business obviously 2 years. They said, oh, you need 3 years worth of, 3 years worth of salary stable. I need, you know, regular pay slips and everything, accordingly, basically. So I don't know what the logic behind it was, but they didn't lend, essentially. So, anyway, so then I said, that gave me a kick up the arse. So you know what, I need to work harder, work smarter, and get myself on the property ladder. So obviously dividends was the thing that essentially did it, obviously which I then had to pay taxes on later on, because you actually pay taxes later on once you claim dividends. And then I got myself on the property ladder. I got it all on there. And then within that year, between 26 and 27, was when HMRC came knocking basically and said, yeah, you're not reporting your taxes properly. And in that same year that I actually bought the house, I was then slapped with about £210,000 penalty from HMRC.
Oh man.
And they made me write them a check of £100,000 straight away. So I had to write a check in front of them for 100 grand.
And did you have that ready to give, or
straight away? You had to. You didn't have a choice. Yeah, there was no choice. They would come up. They rocked up at your door, and they said, right, have all the files that we need ready. So I had all my files. They went through all my files, all my paperwork. Another thing was my business was registered at my home address.
okay.
Big mistake. Do not register your business at your home address, but register it either at a virtual address or get an office, one of the two. Similarly, accountants get a proper accountant. Simple as that. Anyway, they rocked up. They did make a meeting, don't get me wrong. They called a few times. They were trying to understand everything. They rocked up, and they said, right, this is not right. And they said, right, this is what we figured out was going to be your penalty. It seems like we're correct. Obviously, they're not going to tell you the penalty before turning up, but they calculated it all. And they said, right, if we're wrong, we'll give you the money back, which is fair enough. But you've done a lot of stuff wrong here. And there's so many different things I can talk about. I can do like a whole hour program just on that alone. But they said, write the check. Okay, cool. So I had to. I don't really want to piss them off, to be honest.
Of course.
And that was kind of phase 2 of the business, where, the business had grown from an idea and a concept to now, at this point, probably about, I would say, 100 plus teams, pitch hire, corporate events, hiring out referees. There were a lot of part-time staff involved that was self-employed, which was done correctly. It now grown to a position where the company was making a very good turnover, not over $1 million yet, but we were on our way there. And
okay.
I myself said, you know what, this was a huge mistake. I should have structured the company better. At 24, I should have got a proper accountant in. I should have got a proper full-timer in. I should have structured my organization in a way that this penalty would have not happened. But had that not happened, the business wouldn't be where it is today. Because that then said, you know what, literally the day after that, I said, I'm going to be hiring my full-timer. I'm going to be hiring a proper accountant. And I'm going to be putting all of these things in place. So I'd spend a bit more money on staffing to ensure that we as a company were more stable going forward. And that then grew. Higher Pitch was then born. So after Play 5-side came Higher Pitch, because I wanted to spread the two, because one was about 5-a-side leagues and commercial leagues, and your team playing against another team, whereas Pitch Hire was about me and my friends trying to book a court just to play amongst one another, whether it's football, netball, hockey, it could be anything. And the league's element was different. So I needed to separate the businesses. And that was effectively done in December 2015. So that's 4 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago. So that
Yeah.
that tax issue, Nilesh, kind of just after you bought the property, the kind of tax man came knocking at the door. Would you say that's one of your business low points in terms of?
Yeah, it's definitely a low point.
Which is brilliant.
It's definitely a low point, because straight after that, I had to sell a lot of stuff to make sure that the business was essentially stable. I then rented out one of the rooms in my house. I had to consider mortgaging it. I had to consider selling it. I had to think of all these things because of the business. Effectively, I had to think about ways to effectively make sure that the business does not go into bankruptcy. And actually, the first bit of advice I got from an accountant, would you believe, was declare bankruptcy. I told him, get lost. Yeah, I said, I'm not declaring bankruptcy. Yeah, because that's not the way I operate. That's accepting defeat. I said, I'm gonna what the bank account's going to be cleared out. That's fine. I'll go all the way back to zero. Yeah, and I'll start again. So effectively, all the work that I had done up to that point was literally null and void, basically, because my bank balance was down. It was actually minus, it was negative, because you had to pay that. So I'd have to make these regular payments. So yes, you got to structure it properly, but it was a low point, but it gave me a kick up the arse that I needed to say, you know what? But the good thing is, at that point, I'm now established in West London / Central London to say, you know what, people are coming. So I wasn't worried about making the money back. It was the timeline, because now you got to remember, personally, you're now getting on, and personally, you're now thinking about, okay, well, the next logical step is potentially marriage. You know, you want kids by the time you're 30 and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want your family to suffer as a result of your mistake. So it's a very nervy time, because at that kind of pivotal age, you're trying to look at progressing your personal life. But for me, business always came first. Anyway, business was like, right, business has to be stable, because without business being stable, my personal life is not going to be stable. Kind of the wrong way to look at it, in my opinion. But at the same time, when you're young, you want to kind of take the world down and just see what comes with it. But then I've kind of found that balance later on in life, which I think comes with time.
Sure. Okay, so you effectively started from fresh again. However, you
Yeah,
had all these customers on the
yeah.
books. So
Hmm.
you knew what you needed to do to get this business kind of skyrocketing back on track. And then
Exactly
you
that.
moved on and you started, was it a second business, hire a pitch or?
That's exactly it. So Higher Pitch was essentially a separate entity to Play Five Side, and always is, because the two do very different things. And I should have been advised at the beginning, when I was taught to take on pitch hire lettings, that the two should be separate. And it was when Higher Pitch was born, really, that the two companies took off effectively, because that's when you kind of had a member of staff for each. You know, there was a clear it was clear what both companies were doing. There was no kind of disconnect. So Higher Pitch was pitch hire and lettings. Managing it and hiring out was Play Five Side was very much football leagues. You know, we went into netball for a bit as well, and very much the competitive element. So the two kind of they worked very well, but they were two very separate businesses, and they both grew independently. In fact, Higher Pitch grew faster than Play Five Side, because the need for casual pitch hire was higher than competitive leagues. Even though Play Five Side made more money in the end, um, Higher Pitch, the demand for it was just incredible. Like, everyone couldn't actually find a pitch um, at this point in central London to kind of book out. So we would just take these spaces off,
Got it.
and either book it for leagues or book it to our clients. And then obviously, you know, that then took off quite quickly, to be honest with you.
Nice. And this came through yours and your friend's own problem that you solved by the sounds of it. So you
So
wanted these pitches, is that right?
yeah, so obviously the friend only dealt with the website. He was long gone when I was 20, 22, 23. But it was very much through customer feedback. And again, it's very important. Customer feedback is really, really important in any business. Is that everyone would call up, and at this point, obviously, I had only a mobile phone, and I had a landline, just literally wired to my mobile phone. It's literally me and a mobile phone and a laptop, just strolling across London, literally trying to just take down the world almost. It was unbelievable. I won't be able to do that now, but you get these calls in, and there were not people from our leagues, but just independent people that found us on Google. We worked our way up through SEO to the top, which is, again, very important. SEO is a very big part of what we do. And they'd say, "Oh, we'd like to book a pitch, please." And I was like, "We don't deal with pitch hire at the moment." Then we kept getting call after call after call for it. And I said, "Hold on a second, I'm missing out here, because the people are asking me for pitch hire. They're clearly coming to me for something, and I don't have anything for them." So I said, you know what, I need to start block booking out pitches myself. And if I can't run them for leagues, then hire them out for pitch hire. People are happy to pay a premium for it. So that's how that idea was born. It was based from customer feedback. And then from there, the evolution of customer feedback is an interesting one, because from there, it was like, oh, we want to book out your pitch. Can we run an event on it? I said, okay, yeah, you can. We've got an events company coming down. Can we bring the events company in? Okay, no problem, do that. Bring the events company in. And I was thinking, hold on a second. You know what? We can run our own event here, a corporate sports day, an inflatable fun day, and all that kind of stuff. So the evolution of hire pitch is an interesting one, because it came from pitch hire, then it stemmed into events, it stemmed into like kind of park space and event hire. It went into fitness as well, which is going to be reborn soon, and it's gone into casual hire. So it's going to be there's a lot of stuff that hire pitches branch into, from customers just literally constantly demanding something that is not available. And we've
Excellent.
created these little branches in higher pitch that has developed. And Play Five Side is very similar. Oh, we want to play in a five-side league in East London. We want to play in a five-side league in South East. So our guys are constantly looking at spaces to try and get. But obviously, at this point now, getting when I'm 27, 28 years old, we're in a very competitive market. And people have caught wind of five-side being quite lucrative. So we're now one of the established beginning firms effectively. But then, there was another one that came up alongside with me, but then all these new companies are coming in, battling for space, and it's become very difficult. So, we've branched into different sports. We've branched into, like I said, pitch hire and, events, and events actually is the kind of pillar at the moment that's taking higher pitch forward. There's a lot of little things we've had to kind of diversify to ensure that we as a company grow, because you can't just stick to your guns. Sometimes you've got to move across. We're going to be going into kids coaching soon. A lot of things, because London is very saturated, unfortunately, and we are moving across the UK because London is exactly that. You can't just concentrate on London.
All right. So you started this new venture, Hire a Pitch, basically through customer feedback, through customer need. So people were saying, look, we need pitches. You started renting out pitches. You moved on to events because people wanted events. So you started doing kind of soft play hire and all sorts, onto training, onto fitness. And did you say a lot of that work came through SEO? And for anyone listening who doesn't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. It's simply put the process of getting your website to page 1 of Google, organic search, so the non-paid ads. Is that how it came in, Nilesh, or?
Yeah, again, the inquiries came in before I think the websites were working their way up to page 1. Play 5 Side was already up there, but Hire a Pitch was not. Again, it was a very basic website, and we kept rebranding and redoing the website. I think we're on version 6, I think, of our website in I think 5 years. So I think it's very important that with time you recognize the customer needs and change your website accordingly, whether it's SEO. PPC is good for short term, like good bursts of inquiries, but obviously SEO is going to be the one that effectively keeps you on page 1. But all of this has come through customer feedback, as you said, yes, and it does need to evolve. So all of these little ideas that are coming to fruition are down to what the customers are saying, not really what I'm thinking in my head. I've got plenty of things to think about in my head that where I think the business should go, but they all stem from what the sales guys are now reporting back to me, or what I discovered, or what even the trends are in fitness and and general market. So yeah, SEO is very important for, well, actually your website generally is very important. So whatever you do with your website, whether it's SEO, PPC, or develop a website, marketing along with it, whether it's leafleting and all that, those two are effectively your 2 pillars that are going to get your name and your brand out there.
Got it.
And I never thought a website would have such a strong impact. And same thing, marketing, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook ads, Instagram, all of this kind of stuff. If you've got the money, invest, but make sure you do it properly, because you could get it so wrong, and you could get it seriously wrong. And you could just end up spending a lot of money on and no results. And it's a common mistake that all new businesses make, is that you do the wrong thing, you advise the wrong stuff. And I could be advising you to do something a certain way, but it might not suit your business. At the end of the day, everyone is unique and everyone is different. So you have to do your research. No matter how much you listen to 50 million podcasts or 10 things on Google, at the end of the day, you know your business better than anybody else. So you kind of know what the needs are, but the person after you that knows your business is going to be the customer. So sometimes the customer may know the business better than you. So, you need to listen to what they've got to say, because you don't listen, you're not going to effectively grow as a business.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's great. You kind of listened to your customers. You understood that you needed a website. You understood you needed to effectively market that website to drive the leads, to get the inquiries, and to grow the sales, and effectively keep your business pumping and pumping upwards. So, at what stage did you go on to Dragon's Den, Nilesh? So, for anyone who doesn't know what Dragon's Den is, it's a hit UK show where basically entrepreneurs go onto this show. There's a panel of successful businessmen, businesswomen, and you basically pitch your idea to them. So you have your concept, you pitch your idea, and they decide whether or not they're going to invest money into your business for a stake of the business, so for equity. So how did that go, Nilesh? Give us a quick run through.
So Dragon's Den was very much, I developed this concept with Play 5 Side, whereby you've got a lot of desolate spaces across the UK, mainly within schools, that are not being developed. So you have schools in 2020 operating with like really bad tarmac spaces or huge grass open fields. And I thought, well, we should partner with them and redevelop their spaces. And that came about through a contact we had at Weaver's Adventure Playground, which was whereby they had a pitch, but they had no fencing and floodlights there. So we gave them the funding for the fencing and the floodlights. In exchange, they gave us exclusive use in the evenings. So it kind of made sense. They had a need that they wanted this pitch completed for their kids. and we gave them that funding so that we could operate commercially. Obviously, there were a lot of dynamics behind it. We needed to go through planning, and we needed to get the funds to do the fencing. The fencing had to be the right grade, and so on and so forth. But we said, well, we can do it there. Why don't we just do it everywhere? Let's try and do it across the whole UK. So back in 2015, I think it was, we were, I think, on project number 4 or 5, and it was going very well, going slowly, but it was going well. So then I thought, you know what, let's go on Dragon's Den and just see what happens. Let's pitch this idea and see what happens with Dragon's Den. And again, the concept is, and again, sorry to toot my own horn, but it's amazing. I think loads of people are copying my concept, which is fine. I don't mind. It is what it is. You know, you don't be in business for that long and don't expect people to copy you. It is what it is. It's flattery. But anyway, people are doing it. It's good. But the key thing there is this concept came about, and it was a good concept. But, you know, Dragon's Den is all about history, your accounts, how you are as a person. And obviously, I alienated Pierre Jones pretty quickly in this battle of netball, which I know I'm still right about, by the way. Yeah, Pierre Jones, if you're listening, have a look, Google it,
So
netball
give
astroturf.
us a quick idea, Nilesh, as we're
Yeah,
kind of getting towards the last 15 minutes, but give us a quick idea of kind of what happened. I think one of the dragons took a shine to you, and it looked like he very nearly invested in your idea until one little thing came up, from what I remember.
very,
Give us a
very
very quick
nearly.
run
Yeah,
through of that.
very nearly. So again, the concept was again proven. You know, Pierre Jones hated me, then loved me, I hope. And then obviously, yeah, everyone started to warm to me by the end of it. I think I do come off as quite a brash and cocky individual, which is fair enough, but I think I leveled myself off. But the tax issue came up, obviously, where this 210K penalty. And, you know, I had actually rehearsed it over and over again because I knew it was coming, but nothing prepares you for that moment where you're at your lowest point in your life, or lowest business point in your life as well, and you just don't know what to say. You're like, okay, I had a penalty, but I came back from it. I did really well after it. But obviously, the way they put it, you got to remember it's a TV show as well. You know, they're trying to, I wouldn't say dig you out, but they're trying to kind of explain, why did it take so long for you to tell us about the tax issue? You know, you've got money here, you're doing very well. Why didn't you just tell us about the tax issue? And obviously, you know, it is a big thing. You know, it does make you look like a bit of a cheat, if I'm being honest with you. You know, people, they don't know the history of how that tax penalty came about. And I, in my own admittance, should have just said, you know what, my accounting was poor. I didn't structure my company out well enough. You know, I didn't declare what I was supposed to declare, and that resulted in penalty. That's as simple as it should have been. But when you don't declare it and you don't tell them why money is missing here and there, and your accounts aren't matching up and marrying up, they're going to go at you. And you know, it's a situation where I should have said that at the beginning, that it would have, and I reckon I would have got investment. But to be honest with you, again, I don't really look back at it as a bad thing because, you know, I'd never, if I'm honest, I never really needed the investment. It was always as marketing. And from there, I think about 150 plus schools contacted me, regardless. So people clearly liked the idea. People really warmed to the idea. And then from there, kind of the business has grown from it in terms of we're now trying to acquire, you know, various other companies. We're trying to move in different segments and markets, team kits and everything like that. We're trying to move into different things to make the company grow and development and get, you know, we're trying to look at investment loans and different things. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's very it's very hard to go on there and fail. I failed really badly, but you know, you learn from your failures. At the end of the day, failure breeds success. I think that's my motto: is failure breeds success. You got to fail. You got to fall down, get up, and go again. You got to keep falling, because, and that's how you learn. I don't think anyone's perfect, no matter how rich or poor they are. You know, how you know, you could have someone that's a really good craftsman and tradesman earning, you know, £1,000 a month, could be more capable of someone that's you know, earning 50 grand a month. It's just different. Everyone is different and built differently and has different skill sets. So, you know, it was a bad time for me personally, but the business actually from that exposure really rocketed. And I just said, you know what, I was very upset, family seeing it and stuff like that, and they're straight away family think, oh, hold on a second, he hid a lot of stuff, but a lot of them were actually very, very understanding. People were actually very understanding, like, yeah, you know what, he's got a business, it's his money, he's made a mistake, so what, he's doing very well and he's still around, he didn't declare bankruptcy. I think a lot of the business people had that concept. A lot of the people that don't really understand business and were quite young and would say, oh yeah, he's a cheat, he's a fraud, blah blah, but you know, each to their own. I just took it all on the chin and just moved
Yeah,
forward.
I mean, I've watched it a couple of times, and I think the pitch itself was very good, was very pro. It's one of the best I've actually seen on there.
Mm.
Like you say, you've admitted you made a mistake. We all make mistakes. So you've overcome it. The business is doing well. So yeah, let's go back to your business itself. So you're now
Mhm.
both companies kind of $1 million or so turnover. How have
Yeah.
you brought it from the stage where you've kind of started branching out, offering these different services, moving into different sports from football, soccer to netball to all sorts? How has it gone from that stage of doing okay to kind of skyrocketing and doing $1 million plus on each co?
I think you know what, there's always it's a very common question, is that what is that one moment in your business that kind of, you know, where it turned. And I can't really say that there's one moment. I think consistently, you know, again, you have to work really, really hard. I think that's the key thing with business. As a business owner, you have to work hard. You have to kind of spot the gaps in the market. You've got to spot where the gaps are and run with it. You got to spot the gap, run with it. And I think that's what it's been. It's been a lot of spotting these little gaps across the years, going into these gaps and developing the gaps. That's where kind of the business has succeeded. There've been a lot of opportunities that I've taken, and that have gone very well. And there's been a lot of opportunities, like, for example, kids coaching. It's one of the markets where we were quite big at in 2014, but one that kind of delved off because, you know, the needs have changed. So it's very much recognizing your strengths, building upon them, understanding your weaknesses and turning them into your strengths. I think in uni it's called SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You got to look at that. Then the same thing, evolution of the business in terms of websites. Are you doing your Facebook? Are you doing your Instagram? Are you doing your SEO? Are you doing your PPC? So reinvestment is very important. You can't just think, okay, my business is going to be turning over £1 million, right? And not invest it into some form of marketing and just expect it to be £1 million again. You might be lucky and be like, word of mouth be fantastic for you. But there's always someone new, someone younger, someone fitter, someone stronger that's going to come along and try and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to have a piece of his pie. Thank you very much. Yeah, it seemed like a good pie to have. So you've just got to make sure that you recognize that you got to keep on top of your customers, make sure they're happy, listen to their feedback, keep marketing, keep branding, keep evolving. Evolution has been the key thing. Like, you can't just stagnate and just be like, okay, plateau and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to keep things as they are. It's not possible. You've got to evolve with time. You know, things have hugely changed over the past 10 years. Recognizing your needs of the customer, recognizing the demands, spotting the gaps. Again, all of these things have evolved. Probably the best thing that I did was separating the two businesses out and then focusing time on each individual business, whereby spotting each individual opportunity. They were very different, and I didn't recognize they were very different. So you know, you have to branch out. You know, and there's still very many different things within each business that I still haven't touched upon. And even though there might be pennies and pounds, I think you as a business owner should not be concerned about pennies and pounds. Take every single penny and pound that you get at the early part of your business stage. You have to accept it. I remember I was traveling sometimes 50 miles for £5. Yeah, you have to take everything, because that's how you're going to grow it. That's how you're going to grow your business. You've got to get your name and your brand out there, and you have to continuously do that. Yeah, it's not just I'll do it for a week, take 2 weeks off and back on. No, it's not a 9 to 6. This is a 24-hour job. Eat, breathe, live, everything.
Excellent. And I think that's some real good points, Nilesh. So you've kind of showed us that kind of you need to be hard work, you need to be non-stop involved in your business, you need to
Absolutely.
be constantly reinvesting. And it sounds like you understand more than anyone that kind of the digital marketing channels you've got to be looking at. So kind of website and digital marketing, paid ads,
Absolutely.
SEO, social, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And yeah, keep at it non-stop. So what would you say, Nilesh? I mean, we appreciate that you've kind of come from kind of offering demos, getting this 1,000 people signed up out of nowhere into kind of $1 million plus turnover for two co's. What would you say is your favorite digital marketing channel that you've kind of tapped into?
Digital marketing. You know what? If I'm being perfectly honest, like, digital marketing wise, Facebook and Instagram, I'm not huge fans as a person of the two, because I feel like phoning and leafleting and talking to people is really important. I still think that is actually really important. But you know what? Facebook video at the moment, Facebook video for me is the best part of digital marketing. They're coming soon. You're going to see a lot of kind of 3 or 4 videos for Higher Pitch Play 5-side, and of course our new website, Let's Play Sports. That's coming soon. But video is actually very much, people are, you know, tuning into video content. I've found a lot of video content. Even me personally, I'm scrolling through Facebook, clicking on seconds for, you know, 5 to 10 seconds, having a look at video.
Okay.
So I think video, Facebook digital marketing in that sense, and even Instagram video, these are, I think, the platforms that are going to go forward, and I think going to drive every business, because you got to remember, you got your phone here, you're going bam, bam, bam. Oh, I like that. Press play, 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, bam. I'm moving, I'm moving.
Yeah, yeah.
People want their information faster. People aren't really going to be listening to you on the phone anymore. Cold calling is very good, but sometimes it might be ineffective. But if you're in digital marketing, you're in their hand. That's how I look at it. You're in their hand right now. So while you're in their hand, try and push yourself out there. Same thing on a desktop or a mobile. Google, PPC, SEO. If you're there, you're in their hand again. It's just a touch of a button and they're with you. Going back 10 years ago, it's not the same thing. People would actually want to kind of, discuss things with their friends. Or have you heard of a company that does this? Have you heard of a company that does that? Now I think it's very much, people are seeing things, people are visualizing things, people are, looking at things in a video sense, in an image sense as well. So I would say that is my favorite one, because I enjoy preparing the videos and everything like that. It's still
Sure.
tough, don't get me wrong. Any form of marketing is tough.
Got it. Okay, excellent. I think you've already kind of given the audience some good insight of how you've kind of worked from being a startup into an established company. Um, is there kind of one specific thing that companies should be doing with online marketing that's going to massively help their business, or should they just be doing everything?
Again, it just depends what kind of, I think what market you're in. I think the way I would do it is, if you've got some money, is kind of spread it all out across, and then kind of, see where it goes. In my opinion, or your website is your key thing. That's the first thing. You need to really build a solid website. For me personally, to get your brand out there initially, PPC and digital marketing is important. But long term, if you're thinking I want to be around in 5, 10 years time, then SEO is obviously, you've got to invest some money into SEO. You've got to make sure you put some money aside for it. So for me personally, I would try and split the budget across, but it just depends where you want to be. Do you want to make a lot of money very quickly? If you want to make a lot of money very quickly, then you've got to increase your Facebook and your Instagram spend per day and do a lot of PPC. Then SEO is not necessarily that important if you're only around for a year or 2 years or whatever. Long-term strategy is SEO. You've got to be around. You're going to be
Sure.
around. You've got to put some money aside for it. So personally speaking, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way. I think you've got to basically spread it all out and then figure out what works best. So, Facebook, I'll give you an example, like Pretty Little Thing. They're all over the place. Omar Kamani, I don't know what he's done, but they're all over the place. TV content, Facebook, everywhere. They're offering a product. Their product is clothing. I don't think that would be as effective for a plumber. I don't think a plumber offering, on Love Island prime time, showing his stuff is
That's
going to
it.
be as effective as, Google and PPC and SEO. It just very much, you've got to know your business. Clothing is very different to sports and marketing sports. Plumbing is very different to man with a van. They're all very different things. So I would try and do them all, figure out where you're getting the most hits, and then invest and see where your customers are coming from.
That's it. I guess know where your customers are. If you don't, test the markets, test the various marketing strategies, and
Exactly.
then work out the data, really. I guess
Yeah,
work out
exactly
what
that.
gets you results, what gets
Exactly
you the
that.
leads, what gets you the sales, and move on and put more budget into that, it sounds like.
Exactly that.
Cool. Okay. Nilesh, it's been a pleasure chatting to you for the last nearly an hour or so.
Oh, thanks for having
As
me.
no worries at all, man. So just to finish off, I like to ask everyone at the end, if you could thank just one person, either dead or alive, for having a positive influence on you, who would it be and why?
Oh, it's a tough one actually. If I had to pick a person, I think it'd very much be my parents. I think I think that's common for a lot of young entrepreneurs anyway. Is that obviously I think they're very patient people. They're very different. They came to the UK with nothing. A lot of people, British Asians would say the same. They came with nothing, and they invested a lot of time in me. In my education and my upbringing. I think they had a lot of patience with the business. When I wasn't doing well. They did offer me some good advice, some bad advice. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what, they've always been there, and I think they're always going to be there no matter what. You know, they, I think, have been at the very beginning when I had no house, had these tax issues. I think they were very supportive and, always willing to lend a hand, even though, obviously I wanted to suffer because it's my mistake. I think they were always there. I think, to be honest, no matter what, I think everyone should thank their parents or their mom or their dad, or it's very important because I think they made you the person that they are at the end of the day, didn't they?
Agreed. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Nilesh. You've been
Thank you for
listening.
having me.
No problems, man. Thanks for coming on. So, you've been listening to Sam's Business Growth Show, where we interview business leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs from around the globe. This has been Nilesh. The show is sponsored by webchoiceuk.com, helping businesses grow with results-driven websites, apps, and digital marketing. Before we go, Nilesh, tell us a
Mhm.
bit about your company. Tell us where people can find you, your websites. Go ahead.
All right, so we are play5aside.com in letters and hireapitch.com. Obviously, we deal with sports pitch hire, lettings, five-a-side leagues, and we are now launching very soon letsplaysports.co.uk, which focuses on casual games across the UK. We do corporate events and team building as well, which can be found at dreamteambuilding.co.uk, which I didn't touch upon today, but that is also part of the Hire Pitch family. So a lot of stuff with your sports, fitness, and corporate event needs we can cover.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Nilesh. Speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
Cheers.